Hi, this is Tashina.
And this is Jonathan.
And this is Abandoned Ship, a podcast where we take you through Deep Space Nine.
And today, after tackling Duet, it's all downhill. No, actually, this episode's good. I think on the regular, things get pretty even from here on out, is my memory. We'll see if that's true, but I feel like Duet is a turning point, and I'm not even going to look at the episode list to see if I'm right or not. We'll see how well that statement holds up.
So, what episode do we have today, Jonathan?
We have In the Hands of the Prophets.
Our season 1 finale.
Yes.
We're here.
And not a two-parter. They decided to go a different direction in this show and have things that were season enders, which are not two-parters most of the time. But when it's so serial, isn't it a two-parter? But it's not a classic cliffhanger.
Yes, it's not a cliffhanger.
It's a serial story without a cliffhanger.
But you said the first 3 episodes of season 2 kind of...
Oh yeah, they all carry off of this.
Okay.
But they're not called part 1, 2, and 3.
So it's interesting, this episode, which feels almost like a bit of an epilogue to the season. It's weird. It feels like last episode was more of like an ender, and this one feels like the epilogue that like takes you into the next season.
Yes.
Because it's interesting. The way...
It gives you a little local story that has a nice ending, but through it, it introduces several concepts and characters, which will persist forward. So you get a nice button on the end of the first season while still teasing you for what's coming up. So it's a nice alternative to the dun 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 to be continued cliffhanger and they'll do it again next season.
Okay.
In one of the more well-known ones.
Actually,
they'll do it looking at the list. It's basically that's just their mode of operation in this show.
Oh, okay.
They didn't like calling things. They had a couple. They do have a few part 1, part 2s, but they're all like in the middle of the season.
Maybe my feeling of epilogue is from Kira's story.
Yes.
Because I felt like maybe that's it. Last week, it felt like the end of the arc, but we do get a little bit of another aspect of Kira and what's important to her that we've touched on in the series, but it's interesting. It's almost like priming for next season's arc with her.
Yep.
Right? You ready to get into this episode?
Let's get it.
So we start off with Miles and Keiko just hanging out on the promenade, getting some
Jumja sticks.
Jumja bars. They look like kind of like popsicles, but they're
really
huge.
large.
They're really big.
But Bajorans must be used to swallowing some much larger things than we're used to. I'm just saying, if this is normal for them, damn.
Yeah.
That's how Brian knew that Neela was just trying to butter him up and wasn't actually serious. It's like, there's no way I can live up to these expectations.
I can't live up to this.
And she must know that.
Because Keiko's like, be careful who you share your Jumja bar with. Because this is a Bajoran treat, right? Because the seller is Bajoran. And apparently it's really sugary.
It's basically a maple syrup candy because it's like a sap from a tree. So imagine a giant brick of maple syrup.
Oh my gosh. Like
it must have something else going for it, because that would be
candies, but I wouldn't like a whole
I mean, Keiko does say it's too sweet.
Yes. Because she's like, nah, I'm going to work. It's too much sugar for me in the morning.
Putting the comparison as like maple syrup, I can't imagine eating that large a quantity of solidified maple syrup. That would be
pretty much. This treat goes into Miles talking about Neela, his, I guess,
his work wife.
His work wife, yeah.
I hate that term,
but it applies here. It's pretty much she's, I guess, second. Like she's his assistant.
Yeah, it's like his like Bajoran assistant. She's really good. Told me all about Jumja sticks.
Yeah, she's like really playing her up like, oh my goodness, she's so good. And she's teaching me so much about Bajor in their ways.
And we've seen her before. She's been
yes.
in a previous episode. I forget which one, but she was a different actress.
Yes, but it was supposed to be the same character, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think the episode probably could have played a little better in terms of the mystery part of it if they hadn't had to have recast her. Yes. That's unfortunate, because then you would have just seen her as, oh yeah, we've seen her before. I know that she's there. Her being recast, you just immediately go, well, okay, clearly she's involved in this, because why bring in this random person that I've never physically seen before?
Exactly.
You probably don't remember the name.
Yeah, because I didn't know it was supposed to be the same character.
So it almost worked, but unfortunate.
So yeah, chats about her, and that's when Keiko's like, be careful who you share your Jumja with. And he's like, has this look of, am I in trouble?
Just keeping you on your toes, O'Brien. But a nice little conversation between them. It's nice to be reminded that they're actually married and have some kind of, like, just
also,
day in the life stuff.
Great
conversation
for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like they get the butt of the jokes a lot.
Oh, yeah.
Their relationship.
It's a low-hanging fruit.
Yeah, it is. Especially when Miles and Bashir become best bros for life.
Bros before hoes.
You love him more than you love me.
No, yeah, this episode is good. It shows them you believe they're a couple. They support each other, and
yeah, and Miles is about to throw down a couple in this episode. Keiko, like as I said before, she's on her way to work. So we cut to her teaching her class, and like she's a great teacher.
Mm-hmm.
She's really good with the kids, especially it's hard in these setups when you have like different ages, and so you have like kind of different levels.
Right. Like she's here teaching AP wormhole physics to a bunch of elementary school kids. Hopefully they're keeping up. It's an accelerated course.
Yes, she's talking about the wormhole.
And don't forget, your dissertations are due Thursday. I can't even write.
We're not going to get through this episode. Okay. And then who comes in but Winn?
Not Kai.
Not Kai.
What do they refer to as?
Vedek.
Vedek. Right. Yeah.
I always want to say Vedek, like Ver, but it's Vedek.
Yes, this is our first introduction of Winn.
And bad cloud just falls her to here. And she comes off, of course, her sicky sweet self, which, man, I could say so much just about like her persona.
Oh, yeah.
Like I've seen so many people like this.
Mm-hmm.
They use niceness as their shield. And the sicky sweetness, like
sweetness, yeah.
I hate to bring Harry Potter up, but Professor Umbridge is kind of like the ultimate in this. And she reminds me a lot of that character. And that's why I strive to teach our child kindness over niceness. Because anybody can be nice.
Exactly.
Good, bad, doesn't matter your intentions. You can always be nice. And we've seen that over and over and over. It's harder to be kind when you have bad intentions.
Yes.
And so I myself had to learn, especially I was in a religious cult adjacent for about a decade. And I ran a lot. This episode, I have run so much into people like this, ideas like this. So why this episode wasn't as strong as Duet, but I really liked it and I appreciated it because we're still dealing with this today.
And Winn especially, like, she is not in this particular role for long because of where she does end up.
Mm-hmm.
Is she comes in as the leader of this like ultra orthodox order.
Yes, that's what Kira says.
And if you're like familiar with the show, you remember her not necessarily being like that, and it really shows like how she is just attaching herself to these things that give her some sort of ability to wield some kind of influence, right? Yeah. So she is obviously not personally a believer, right?
Yes.
That becomes clear over the course of the show.
And
this is just a political tool. She attached herself to this movement these people who are easily manipulated by saying the right things.
Yes.
She can say the right things and twist the right words. She can whip up a frenzy.
Yep.
And we see and
we
to your
see
point,
it play
we see
out
that a lot in reality. There's a lot of people who do this, who attach to these things that they can manipulate.
Yes.
Yep.
Oh man, we're still in the cold opening. Okay, so
is this still the cold? Oh yeah.
Keiko's teaching about the wormhole. Of course, Winn gets her panties in a bunch about how Keiko is being scientific and clinical about how she talks about it. Because she's not a religious teacher. She is just a teacher. And when you're a teacher, you have to think about all of your students, not just your Bajoran students. And I think sounds like she's respectful.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's not like she's sitting here saying like, God's dead.
I know. Yeah.
It's literally just calling things by different names, like the entity. She goes, the entities, they're in the wormhole. She acknowledges that they created it, basically. But Winn is still hung up on like, no, these are the prophets. And you're not teaching it exactly like we do. But it's interesting that they chose to, I guess it's to just make her as sympathetic as possible. But she really is taking this at an incredibly reasonable angle in how she teaches about the wormhole. I think these two things can be 100% compatible.
Exactly.
You call them prophets, I call them entities. What does it matter?
And Keiko's also very measured in how she responds to Winn. And she says, I don't teach Bajoran spirituality. That's your job.
Right. It's like, okay. But that's not enough.
And Winn's like, blasphemy.
And it is, as frustrating as it is, like, this should be totally reasonable. It does go to show you, like, this isn't far from reality either. Mm-hmm. Most religions are obsessed with, not to get too deep into the weeds theologically here, but of what you call things, of even things that aren't these the same thing? Nope. You got to call it what I call it. Otherwise, it's not. It's a slippery slope, right?
Yes.
That thing. And it's not like it's outside the realm of reality. This happens all the time. This is what most religions are based off of, is sometimes even calling the same thing just by a different name. And that somehow makes all the difference between a blasphemer and a true believer.
Oh boy, do I have stories about growing up in the South.
All right. So yeah, basically, Winn just goes from 0 to 100. You're teaching blasphemy, and I cannot permit it to continue. To which I want to know how that scene ends. Like, they sort of cut away, dun, 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 and we don't see, like, imagine coming to his class and be like, I cannot permit this to continue. What we don't see is Keiko just going like, okay. And then Winn just standing there.
For real?
And then Winn just standing there awkwardly and like, you can't just say that. And then Winn goes, I didn't say it, I declared it. And then just walk.
I declare bankruptcy.
and then awkwardly walks out of the room. Because, well, that was interesting. Now if you turn to page 5.
Yeah, I know. It's just so much is going on in this scene. I'm sorry we're not continuing on quickly, but Winn is talking. She is like putting her hands on the children because it's very much like, think of the children.
Oh, yes. Who will think of the children?
We have seen this over and over and over of mob mentality happening because of think of the children. And usually it's not about the children.
Nope. It almost never is.
Okay, credits. We got our song. Now we are in engineering with Miles and his work wife, which is Neela. I thought they said Nina, so all my notes say Nina until the very end. And then I'm like, oh no. So they're chatting about work, this and that, and terms like...
Oh, I fixed it.
Yeah,
oh, wow, that's really impressive. So this is actually an important thing because this comes in later. If you can remember the technobabble,
I know.
She fixes the isolinear code processor.
That does come back.
Without him. Like, he came there to help her with it, and then, she's already done fixing this isolinear code processor. So a case where the exact name of the technobabble they use actually does come back later, and it isn't just there to fill time, I guess. He
looks in his toolbox. His EJ7 is missing.
Not your EJ7.
And of course, he was like, that's a big deal. And he's like, it's a huge deal. Nobody takes tools from the chief, and this tool can unlock all kinds of things.
It's the master key. It can unlock anything in the station. Holy shit, is that important? Maybe you shouldn't leave it fucking lying around.
I know. Why is it
Security is terrible. Federation getting
Miles!
security. I guess you could see, like, if you're on the attitude of like a starship, you could probably leave these things lying around. Doesn't matter, but can't do that here in a space station.
No. We go to Sisko's office, and this is where Keiko is pretty much updating Sisko on what happened today. And they bring in Kira from her perspective, like, hey, give us the 411. What's happening?
Sisko's not surprised. He expected this.
Yes.
He figured this would come to a head at some point because the Federation is very, do we say atheist, agnostic? What they're very
secular.
Science-driven. Secular, yeah.
I would say.
But they're not judgmental as a
exactly,
rule.
Because there's plenty of people in their organization who have religious beliefs. They're just more secular humanists,
They've seen enough to not rule anything out.
Exactly.
But they steer well clear of religious terminology.
Yes.
Everything is an entity to them.
So we get from Kira that Winn is part of an Orthodox group, and she is up for Kai, which is their main spiritual leader, pretty much the Pope. And she has Kira's support.
Yeah, this is interesting that coming into this, our introduction to Winn, again, seeing what happens later, that Kira's initially supportive of her. Like she agrees with her stance here.
Which, when we get to the end of the episode, I think some of Kira's opinions make sense throughout. Like, during the discussion, Kira's like, well, maybe we should have 2 schools. One for Bajoran children. And both Sisko and Keiko are like, but what does it help, like, separating interests? Like, we're trying to bring people together on the station, not even further separation. And it seems like from this episode, what we gather is there's already separation with the crew, the Federation crew, the Bajorans. Like, there's already division there. We don't want to make it worse. And Sisko really worries about this, like the continuing of separation of interests. And Kira's like, well, maybe we should. We have separate interests. After this, Sisko heads to the temple and pretty much just has the conversation with Winn. She grabs his ear, of course, which he hates. It's very much like, shun the non-believer, the prophets have spoken. Because he's the emissary. It's interesting how the religious Bajorans interact with Sisko. Because he's an important figure in their religious history, but he's a non-believer.
Yep. He's an outsider, so there are still people who obviously resent that. Winn's saying a lot here between the lines. She talks about she outwardly is, being respectful to Sisko and the emissary, but you can tell she resents the fact that he is. She even talks about a conversation with Kai Opaka, the previous Kai who died, and, shares some, like, wisdom. She questioned why this person was to be the emissary, and Opaka basically put her in her place, and she talks about her very respectfully, but you can tell she resents her for that.
Yes. She's
really just, like, dripping with resentment all around, even though her words are doused in Jumja sap.
Yes. Oh, yes. The resentment and bitterness is just right under that layer of sweetness.
And I think what becomes clear as the episode goes on is this isn't because of some actual belief. It's more like he's messing up her plans, is really what it's ultimately about. And it's harder to control from this Orthodox mindset when you have some secular outsider coming in and messing up your faith and making your supporters doubt themselves.
I mean, and that's when later in the episode, she paints him as pretty much the devil.
The devil. And she ends this with basically saying, the prophets have spoken to me.
Yeah.
She has received divine revelation. She has received direct divine revelation, of which no one can verify, of course.
Yep.
And also, what we know from later in the show is that the prophets have never, ever spoken to her once. She fully admits that, which coming back here is like, hey, wait a minute.
Yep.
Aha.
Aha.
So it's her duty to defend Bajor. And here you have yet another, God has spoken to me, therefore I am justified in anything I do, including violence, because who am I to argue with the divine?
Which makes it a nice companion to duet, because the Cardassians, like we talked about how you get normal people to commit atrocities.
Yes.
For them, it was survival. And part of that is a moral right. That is also part of how you get people to do bad things, is a moral, like righteous indignation of like, I'm doing the right thing morally. God has told me, so I must do this. And so we see kind of that side of things in this episode. Like, of course, it's not on like the level what the Cardassians did, but you see that. You see that same imperative that this is what we have to do to survive, and this is what we have to do morally because we are in the right. This is what God has told us to do.
Yep. Someone on one of our comments on the duet episode listed a quote from TNG from another Cardassian episode from Picard.
Oh, that's right.
When children are taught to devalue others, they can devalue anyone.
Yeah.
Even their own parents.
Yep.
So yeah, it all just comes back to this. It's about the first step in manipulating people to commit atrocities is that dehumanization. And a big part of that is the purpose you give them. What is this for? The greater good, the divine.
Mm-hmm.
It allows you to excuse anything. And now she says, if she does not recant, I cannot be responsible for the consequences. Like this washing of the hands.
Yep, exactly.
It's not me doing this, even though it quite literally is.
Oh.
It's the prophets.
Wait till we get to our first interaction with her and Keiko and Miles. Okay. We need to
So
continue.
that's how we end their conversation.
We go to Ops. Miles, that AJ-7, it's still missing. Not only is that missing, we're also missing Ensign Aquino, one of his engineers. What's going on here? So Miles, I guess, goes searching for titanium and
Tritanium,
sorry.
It's a very important material.
Okay. And they find some melted in a random crawl space.
And I go, oh yeah, plasma conduit.
Oh, okay, sure.
You see, plasma is, here's the scientific explanation. Plasma,
okay,
it's very hot and it's green, and it's like fire. I don't know if you knew that.
And it has organic material on it. That's the big thing. They find this melted tool has organic material, which means human. And so they take a sample for Bashir.
My thought was like something about like finding this pile of goop and realizing it's a person is like really disturbing. I don't know. It just like gives me the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, that's a melted person.
That's a melted person.
A little pile of goop.
Wait till we find out how he died. That's some hand-wavy stuff there. Okay, so we're on the elevator going to the promenade with Miles and Keiko. He's updating Keiko on his happenings and poor Aquino. And then they go to the little stand with the Jumja bars, and no Jumja bars for them because...
Yeah, the Bajoran vendor, he's clearly now much more hostile to them. He's really grumpy. He's sitting there with his 4 sticks.
We don't have anything to sell. It's like obvious 4 things.
What are these?
They're not for you.
Not for you. Then O'Brien about shoves a Jumja stick up his...
He was all shove this Jumja and it like trails off. Because Odo comes in
grabs
confused.
him by the collar. These Federation types are very aggressive.
The vendor yells at Miles and Keiko to seek the prophets. And Miles is like...
Yeah, so basically there's some... This animosity is spreading now. He didn't want to sell to Keiko. Odo's confused. It's like, I don't have to sell anything to them. And Odo's just like, why wouldn't you want to sell? Isn't that what you do here? These humanoids don't make any sense. So
Keiko and Miles are heading to the school, and what do we find? A mini mob forming in front of the school. Pretty much it's the children and their parents at this point. So it's still local.
Contained to the immediate vicinity of the
people who are actually involved.
Right. The parents, yeah.
This is where more hand washing from Winn of,
oh, she's infuriating here.
Yeah. Oh, I will give you the first.
I'll give you the first concession. Look how gracious I'm being. And she gives her basically a nothing.
Yeah.
Just don't teach about the wormhole at all.
Just
it's like,
ignore it. That thing that's literally right outside our door. And Keiko makes a great point here. Well, where does it stop? What about when we get to evolution? All these other subject matters that also have similar religious debates around. And it's like, we'll figure it out when we get there. Just like, what? And Keiko's like, I don't hide knowledge from my students. I'm here to expose them to this knowledge. And she's right. That is her job. Whatever the children end up believing is her job to show them what is out there. And she can even say what other people believe. Which brings up my story with school. So I grew up in Orlando, which is not even super conservative. Orlando is, melting pot. But because Florida overall is very conservative politics, I remember in biology class and another science class, so beginning high school, 9th and 10th grade, to teach us about evolution, they also had to talk about creationism. We read from the Bible in a public school about the story. And that was how the teachers had to frame it. This is just what some people believe, but they had to. They had to bring it up, which is funny because they weren't bringing up other religions' creation theories.
Right.
It was just the Judeo-Christian Genesis story. That is it. Which is oh, well, we know what's going on here.
Exactly.
And they go through it quickly, and now we can finally get to evolution and stuff like that. There's 2 classes in my high school where they had to talk about creationism before they could get to evolution. Because if they just talked about evolution, the parents be calling. So just to not even deal with it. And I understand because this was something that was hotly debated. So I was in high school, I'm old. I graduated in 2004. So, this is early acts when this happened, right after 9/11. This is 2001, 2002, which again, this fervor of religious zeal was there. And combined with now patriotism, I just remember just so many things. People just being at war with each other over what is taught in schools. And this was one of them. So when Keiko brings up, what about evolution? I'm I was there. That brought me back to when those concessions had to be made so they could teach evolution in schools. And it's crazy. It really is. But it's so easy, Jake later on, to be oh, that's dumb. But it's not. These are things that are going on right now. Winn is using the kids.
Of course, Keiko has to reject it.
Of course.
He was I've tried to be, Winn's I've tried to be reasonable. Woe is me. Look at this obstinate, non-believing fool. So frustrating. And
pretty much all the Bajorans leave. And Jake and 4 other kids are left behind on the platform. And this whole think of the children and just seeing this moment of them on the platform, just so sad that
their friends have left.
And
think of the children. Think of these children. You're tearing their life. You're bringing stress into their lives for nothing.
Exactly. That's the thing.
Why bring them into this at all?
These kids were fine. Because guess what? I bet when they go home, their parents teach them about their religion. It's not like they don't know.
All these Bajoran children are already, I assume, going to temple. Although, it's the same thing with the, the Christian views that we have to work around in schools in the United States, but the actual church-going population is small. Most people do not actively practice. I'm sure plenty of these Bajoran children were maybe not quite regular temple goers, if you know what I mean. Yeah. But they have to. Yeah. They still see it as part of their identity, and they still want to look like they're good Bajorans.
Exactly.
Right?
Because their religion is so ingrained to their culture.
And the same thing, there are plenty of people who probably identify as Christian who never go to church.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. They're just Eastern Christmas people.
Right.
Yeah.
But they can still be targeted by these manipulations.
Exactly.
And can still be whipped up into a frenzy of something that, before it happened, they cared very little about.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just an observation there. But yeah. Notably absent is Nog from this group.
I noticed that too.
I assume he's off causing trouble. Comes back in a week and is like, what the fuck happened? Where's our school?
Where's our school?
What is it? Nog, you missed a lot. Damn.
So we go to Ops. They're all there talking about Aquino. It seems like this is just an accident, except for he took my tool.
It's unheard of. You never take a chief's tools.
So because of this, they're like, oh, okay, we can look into this further. Maybe it wasn't an accident. So Odo goes off screen to dig further. Jake comes in and he speaks with his father. And I think this is a really great conversation because it is important that on the flip side, people who are not religious don't just become the flip side of Winn.
Right.
Because Jake tells Sisko what happened. It's just him and 4 other kids. And Keiko went on teaching, and she taught them about Galileo, who was tried and convicted by the Inquisition for daring to say that the Earth is not the center of the universe, that we revolve around the sun. And of course, Jake is like, how could they be so stupid? And Sisko is like, it's really easy to look back 7 centuries ago and judge. And it's true. They don't have the knowledge that we have now. Him saying that was big. Galileo saying that is controversial, and it's hard to break everything you thought you knew of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
And Jake says, but it's happening now, and it's still dumb. And that's where Sisko's like, oh, hold up. No, it's not dumb. For 50 years, religion is what got Bajorans through their occupation. For decades, this is what got them through, what held them together. Their belief in the prophets. And he goes, the thing is, there are aliens in the wormhole who can do pretty cool shit. Right. And they're non-linear.
They can see into the future of the past like it's one.
He goes, I can get why they are worshipped by the Bajorans. And, Jake's like, scoffing. And I also want to say that too. Yes, sometimes it sounds like, I'm not anti-religion at all.
Right.
I want to make that clear. I have people in my life who are religious. It is a great comfort to them. And they are good people. I don't like religion being used to harm others. That's where it crosses the line with me.
And that's the key thing here. And the episode did this very smartly. You introduce Winn, and she becomes the face of this movement, right? And you really start to easily conflate the two, especially when you see people falling in line with her so quickly. Yep. They just make her so frustrating, and they get you, as the viewer, really whipped up too.
Yeah.
She's whipping her people up into a frenzy.
I know.
You're getting whipped up into a frenzy. And you're where Jake is right now.
Yes.
And then right at this point in the episode, Sisko comes into this, and what Star Trek is all about is, and this is something my brother said, Star Trek is all about is finding common humanity.
Yes.
And that's the key part of this. This is the common humanity part of the episode. It's checking yourself to make sure you're not falling into the same traps and realizing who and what should be the focus of your action.
Yes.
And whereas up until this point, we're combining this whole Bajoran viewpoint together as like one monolithic thing, we're now being able to separate Bajorans as people and the forces trying to manipulate them. And that's the key thing here is most issues that we face today are not these intractable things that two reasonably thinking people can't come to agreement on. It is external forces, people above us, trying to manipulate us to achieve their own ends. And it really, I think it redirects the focus to Winn. Winn has identified something she can use to manipulate the people around her.
Winn's the problem.
Winn is the problem, not the people, because they do have, like Sisko says, very reasonable reasons for believing what they believe.
Because Chick's like, they're just aliens. And he's like, they could be prophets.
Right.
We don't know.
And their beliefs aren't by themselves harmful.
Yes.
It is how they're being abused and used against other people. And it is so important to realize that to target your rage not at your neighbors, but at your leaders, the people with actual responsibility for their actions and words.
Yes. Because this is like, the thing is, you don't know, and you don't want to be just the flip side of Winn, which is so important. Because I've seen atheists who treat religious people beneath them. And not just like people who are using religion as a weapon, just like everyday folk.
Yeah. All this to say, recognize the common humanity, recognize who's really at fault here, recognize the fraudsters, the manipulators, the people who are just taking on something for personal gain to accomplish an objective. Recognize those things. Recognize the bullshit. There are far more regular folk out there than it appears on the news, on the internet especially.
Oh my gosh, yes.
All the internet does is amplify. We're getting really off the beaten path. We're all into the weeds here. Really big tangent. Makes it amplifies extreme viewpoints, monetizes misinformation. Just stay calm and focused on what matters.
Because it's just really sad that something that's supposed to be beautiful and meaningful is used as a weapon.
Right.
It's really heartbreaking. And so, Sisko is still worried. So he goes to seek help.
From the young pope.
From Vedek Bay. He goes to Bajor. And pretty much Vedek Bay is our progressive hunk. You know, he's not about that ear-pulling business. And it didn't even take much for Sisko to get on board. He's like, oh, yes, you have my support. That's all Sisko needed to hear. Oh, you want to get rid of that awful ear-pulling thing? Sure.
I'm in.
I love when he says, I heard that Winn brought her blessings. Because
he's just as skilled as speaking in between the lines.
Like it's not sicky sweet. There is a bit more realness there, but he is rightly so a politician. So he's also doing the niceties.
Mm-hmm.
And Sisko asked for help if he could get a meeting with, I guess, the religious council. And he's like, sorry, that's not going to happen. A lot of mixed feelings about Sisko. And also, they just don't want to get involved in what Winn is doing. And Bay is also trying to become the Kai.
And he's the front runner right now.
And he doesn't want to shake.
Careful, yeah.
He wanted to shake the boat.
He can't be a good friend to you now, but he might be able to be a good friend to you later.
I'm like,
I'll
hold you to that if you become a guy. And apparently the prophets teach both patience and politics.
Great line.
So we were back in Ops, where I guess Sisko's like, oh, guess I went to a pretty monastery. Oh, because that's the thing. Vedek is at a monastery. And it's really beautiful.
Very reminiscent of a certain park in California, yes.
Yes. And he doesn't leave. He stays at the monastery.
Yeah. He was not able to get
important
his help yet.
And Sisko looks around and is like, where are the Bajorans? I'm a half staff here. What is happening? And Kara's like,
budget cuts.
They're sick. And Sisko and Kara get into it a little bit. Because Sisko's like, what have we been doing these past 7 months? Are we really going to throw everything we've worked towards for this? And Kara's like, oh no, we want you guys to be here because of the Cardassians, blah, blah, blah. And Sisko's like, but I feel like we are getting nothing back in return for trying to build this relationship, being friends. I just feel like I'm getting nothing in return, and now half my staff is gone.
It's also pretty interesting. Like he says basically up front, like, we're not here. The Federation's not here protecting you for nothing.
Yeah.
He's pretty upfront, like, it's an interesting dichotomy. We want something out of it. What is it? Friendship. Your resources. No, we want for Blake. That is what they want of this. Yeah. They're not here just protecting them just cause. Like, he's here to build something.
And from the very first episode, for them to become part of the Federation.
Yeah. Like, they're not shying away from that, which I think is important. That's how he's gained trust, is by being upfront and direct. But you're right, now the Bajoran's like, well, they're almost trying to back away from that because it puts less responsibility on them to reciprocate. So if they treat the Federation as just being here just to protect their borders, then they don't have to give anything back to it. And he's like, no, it's not why we're here. And you know that, and you already agreed to it, so don't back out of it now.
Yeah.
But yeah. Ultimately, the lesson here is don't mess with Sisko's staffing. That's where he draws the line. I gotta run the station, damn it. These
Bajorans better get over this cough real quick, or they're gonna be heading to a new assignment.
Yep.
Bashir and Odo come in. Somehow they figured out Kino was murdered by a blaster. Pew pew. Yeah, whatever.
Basically, he was shot and then stuffed in the conduit and turned into goo.
Gross. All right, they all come together. Aquino went to Runabout Pad C at 4 a.m. Miles like, why was he there? And Odo says he was getting murdered.
As he says this, he puts on a pair of sunglasses and the theme song begins.
Like, oh no, come on. Dude, not now.
Look, this is the one joy Odo gets out of his day. It's when he gets to drop these one-liners.
But true. They have no idea why he was there, and they can't trust the log because that could have been tampered with. It's like, oh, we went because of this. And they're like, that could easily be
faked, yeah.
Yeah.
But for some reason, he was at the Runabout Pad getting murdered. Thanks, Odo, for that critical analysis.
So we go to Runabout C. Miles and Neela are there, checking it out, trying to figure out why he was there.
And they can't figure it out. There doesn't seem to be anything wrong.
And they have a little heart-to-heart. Neela asks about Aquino. Did you know him? I was like, not really. You? And she's like, nah, but Bajorans and Federation people don't really hang out. We don't get along. And Miles like, what are you talking about? Like, we get along, we hang? And she's like, yeah, but you're nice. Damn. And he's a nice guy who's about to get in trouble with Keiko. So I could clear it up here, but you can go.
Too steamy in here. He's like, yeah, get out of here.
And then she like,
give him them.
Like, no.
She wants to see my Jumja stick.
To not have Keiko murder him, please leave. We're on the promenade, and Odo and Quark are chatting while a bunch of Bajorans arrive. And Quark's like, oh, is there a convention? Do I need to get more Dabo girls? And I was like, no, there's just part of Winn's Orthodox sect. And he's like, oh,
Orthodox.
Get double girls.
These spiritual types love double girls.
And I'm just like, yes. Oh, good burn.
So he questions Quark about the murder of Ensign Aquino, if he's heard anything. Quark is offended, but hasn't heard anything about it.
Yeah. So while Quark is heading out, Miles comes down and tells him after, I guess he looked at the other
he decided to check all the other pads.
And at runabout A, he found a security bypass. So pretty much Aquino went to C, interrupted whatever was happening there. They got rid of him, but of course they knew they'd be searching on C. So now they headed over to A to do whatever they were planning on doing. Why would someone want to steal a runabout?
But also then not steal it.
Not steal it, yeah.
Like a setup for something.
But before we can delve any further, we hear an explosion. And it's the school. And there's a moment I couldn't remember. I know Keiko doesn't die, but I couldn't remember, does she get hurt?
Mm-hmm.
And Miles runs up and he is screaming, about to run into the fire.
And there's quite a lot of fire.
And Odo's holding him back and he's screaming, Keiko. And you see her run up to him from off the side and it's
it's okay, honey. I was getting coffee. There was just kids in there. Oh, thank God. You're okay.
Thankfully, no.
There will be more kids. There's always more kids.
Thankfully, no. There wasn't any kids in there. Nobody was hurt. She's safe. Kids are safe. They check it out after the fire is extinguished, and it was a homemade bomb. And then who rolls up but Winn? Saying, oh, anybody was hurt?
Was anybody hurt? Oh, I care so deeply.
Oh, the prophets were kind today. That's when Sisko breaks. He snaps. He goes, the prophets had nothing to do with this woman. You did. You're the one that manipulated this weaker person, this deranged mind. And Wynn's like, are you saying you're holding me accountable? And Sisko's you bet your ass I am. And she's like, oh, I will pray the prophets will forgive you. And yep, so pretty much Sisko believes she just came up here to stir up shit.
Yeah, he basically dresses her down. He calls out you can't claim the prophets as your personal constituents. You can't say that you solely speak for them. You have an Orthodox order that's barely listened to, so you come up here for a more receptive audience.
Yep,
et cetera, and it just pins her exactly.
Yeah, she just wants to become the new Kai. He reads her for filth. She does not appreciate this and says, you just want to destroy us.
Yeah, so now she's got to pivot.
You have no soul.
She's got to pivot quick. Go for the kill.
And the Federation just wants to pull us into the darkness. She just keeps railing into him as a show to the other Bajorans.
Right.
Because
the Federation's the devil. You're the devil.
Yeah. And Sisko was like, the Bajorans who live here, who have worked with us, we've been through crisis together, they won't believe that. We don't always have to agree, but they don't believe I am a devil without a soul, pretty much. They're not going to believe your bullshit.
Yep. They've seen us tackle Rumpelstiltskin. And if they're still here after that, when they had no idea what the fuck was going on, they'll beat us through anything.
Exactly. They've seen some crazy shit on the station.
They know how ridiculous we are.
And he says, once people forget you, the kids will come back because they'll get tired of your shit, pretty much. And Winn just goes, we'll see. And gives a little look to Neela. Now, through this speech, Kira, you start seeing a little bit of the break on her face. She's not there yet, but it's starting to work. Yeah, it's starting to get into her soul.
But yeah, so now we get the really obvious look between Winn and Neela. Dun, dun, dun. Now we go back to Ops.
And Ops, Sisko asks Miles about Keiko. And Miles says she's doing great. Shaken, of course, but she wants to go back to school tomorrow. Can she use the cargo bay? And Sisko's like, Jake will be there. And Miles pretty much says something like, it's a good thing she has your support. And she has Sisko's support. And it means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
During this conversation, in the background, we see Hila. I'm like,
suspiciously listening in. It's like, yeah, we get it.
Because Miles mentions about the runabout pads, what's going on, and that he put some extra security on all of them. So he will keep an eye out. And then we get a transmission from, it's Vedek Bay. He's coming to visit. Probably thinking like to hopefully calm the waters.
Yeah, the explosion definitely escalated things. He dropped some key phrases here like, it's the least a friend can do, because they use that, wording in their conversation. But yeah, so he's decided to show up. It's like, yeah, you invited me, right? Yes, of course I did.
So this is where Neela goes to the temple to visit Winn because of the conversation she overhears.
Yeah, basically, she knows they've found out about her runabout.
Yes. So we don't know the plan, but whatever it is, she has no escape plan. And she's like, they will capture me.
And kill me.
And she's like, Jesus, what is she going to do? And Vic's like, sucks to sucks, but if that's the will of the province.
The will of the province, yeah, it's just like, oh, that's cold.
It is. Like, how dismissive she is. Like, oh, well.
So here's a question on, like, episode structure and writing and stuff. Do you think, was it the right idea to reveal Neela now? I'm going back and forth on whether they should have kept it as like a reveal at the very end about who the assassin was, or if it creates more tension that but they don't.
I could see it both ways. I think the positive of doing it this way is that we don't get like a dump of exposition after the fact. Like, oh, why did you do this? What, That's
true.
Because here...
And there already is a little bit at the end, so it would have been very overstuffed to have stuffed everything in there.
So I feel like this little scene in the temple kind of gives us that exposition we needed. There is a little bit of loss with like knowing now it's Neela.
My sense is there's something missing from the building of tension aspect. I'm not sure what it is.
Though I do think when we get to it, they did a good job with like how they shot. I like how it was shot.
Especially for season 1. We've seen a lot of very...
I was like, whoa, this is dramatic.
plainly shot episodes thus far. Even Duet, which is a fantastic episode, was shot very simply. And that was fine because Duet was all about these two people interacting with each other.
Yes.
But, season 1 overall has been very plainly shot, not much interesting going on. And they did they took some risks here with like the slow motion and some different angles with like things revealed in the foreground. And just something more than flat shot. So I do appreciate that. I guess what my mind immediately goes to is like Star Trek 6 with the assassin who's going to shoot the president, and they're all trying to get there, and they keep intercutting to him like building his like weapon and aiming and all this stuff, and they're trying to get down there, and they're being like stopped at different points to try and get to it. So it's a big like, will he get to the president in time to say, like that sort of like building tension. And I feel like there was something they probably could have done a better job with that aspect.
Though I do think there is tension in we don't know what her aim is. Like we don't know exactly what
that's true
she's doing. So I think that's where the tension comes in.
I guess it's just been so long since I've seen this up for the first time that I guess just because I know what she's doing it.
Exactly.
I don't have that first viewer experience.
If you saw this for the first time, it probably is like, oh, we know she has a weapon. We know she has
Is she trying to kill
target?
Keiko, Sisko?
Exactly. We head back to Ops. Miles finds a file he can't access, but apparently he's the one who made the file.
Yeah, it's him basically trying to untangle this like puzzle of like, what is this he's trying to figure out what Neela was up to, basically. And they're slowly piecing together like, oh, it's a program that shuts down these force fields that lead to the runabout pad so she can steal the runabout. So it's an escape plan.
And I do like this next shot as Vedek Bey is arriving and he's, entering the promenade. You get a shot from up because Neela is on one of the bridges and she is looking down on him. And just the way the camera moves, I don't know, it's just nice.
It's nice.
It's nice to get.
I guess actually that tips it off right there, though, that she's after Bareil.
Yeah.
So maybe they should have. I think what they should have done then, they should have really committed to the who is she going to shoot.
True. Yes.
And play it up that way. Maybe would have been better. But yeah, so we get a nice shot with a lot of extras. Everyone's super excited to see Bareil. It's very popular.
Yes. Miles finds out that the file is pretty much a escape route because it's something to do with the force fields.
Yeah, it once they activate force fields, it'll shut down a series of them that lead.
So Miles knows something is going down, and he heads to the promenade. Both the Vedeks meet, very tense, and they head to the school.
And it's great when when Winn meets Bareil, she goes to grab his ear, and he very deftly grabs her hand and brings it into an embrace. Nope, I'm not doing that. But definitely transitions to just we're just holding hands. No, you don't. So she tries to do that power play. She's standing up on some stairs. She's above him to try. She's really trying to establish a dynamic.
Exactly. The way they are blocked.
Right.
Is very meaningful. And as he's grabbing her hand, he's going up to her.
So you can tell, he knows the game.
Yes.
These are two people engaged in
the whole conversation is just power plays.
And now he traps her, but it's actually her plan. But still, it's very skillful. He traps her. We must go together now to condemn this violence. And she can't refuse because that would look terrible. So now he traps her in this. We're going to go together, hand in hand.
Yep. So
all very well done. So they go to the school.
While they're doing that, Miles heads to the security. I don't know who it is, but there's a picture of a furry.
It must be Quark.
And I'm like, oh my goodness, does he have a picture of Quark on the screen?
It's probably a screen dedicated to Quark. It's just Quark information at all times.
It was just a nice, fun touch just to see a little picture of Quark.
So here's when we reveal what the second half of the program does, which is something with the isolinear coprocessor.
Something is in the something, and it's what Neela fixed in the beginning.
If you're one of the 10% of viewers who remembered the technobabble, yes, this is the thing that Neela fixed at the beginning of the episode. I didn't catch it either.
He knows Neela did something to the weapons scan. He's not exactly sure what, because she's just so dang good at her job. So he buzzes into Sisko, saying, you might want to find Neela, because I think she disarmed the weapon scan, and she might be doing something, so you might want to stop her. and Sisko's like, huh? What? While the Vedeks are kind of on a platform area in front of the school, you see Sisko go into go mode. Scanning. And the music, this is really well done.
Yes, it's pretty dramatic.
Yeah. Where he's looking out into the crowd, and then he sees Neela coming, cutting through the crowd, and she's pulling up
a weapon in front of a lot of very oblivious Bajorans.
He thankfully stops her before she can kill.
Sort of.
Right. Well,
this is the only thing where they're trying and they do a pretty good job, but some of their block, it's still a little awkward because he just goes no, and then she
misses.
She gets bumped.
Okay.
And I'm not sure if the implication is that Sisko shouting startles people, and then they not
maybe
because she fires, but before Sisko does anything. Well, after he yells, but before he can move to do anything, she shoots. But her hand is bumped, and it misses Bareil. And you see the look because Bareil sees her too, and he gets that look oh shit.
Yeah.
He knows what's about to happen. Shoots, misses. then he does the slow motion, which was also a little awkward, leaps at her and tackles her. And she fires again, and it goes
into the
wide,
crowd.
cuts 10 people in half, I assume, and tackles her to the ground. And that's when she's stopped for good.
And as the security pulls her away, she just starts yelling, "The prophet spoke. I answered the call. The prophet spoke, and I answered the call." Oh, sounding a lot like Winn. It's right, Eric. And Kira snaps into fire mode. She is disgusted.
She runs up to Winn, dumps her entire plan in her face in one sentence. This was all to get Vedek morale here. Yep. You wanted to kill him so he wouldn't become the next guy.
Yep.
Thank you for breaking that down for the audience, because we got to wrap this episode up.
Yeah. She used the school. She destroyed the school. Yeah, who knows who was hurt in the audience? There's so many things she did just to get Vedek here and try to assassinate him. And Winn doesn't even have a comeback. She just has kind of like a sneers at her and just turns and walks away. And we have our end scene at Ops, which I think is perfect little button, because Kira's in deep thought. Sisko comes in. Pretty much Neela won't break. She is adamant that she was alone in this. So Winn's she's not gonna get in trouble. And Kira says, "I envied Vedek Winn because she was a true believer, and I wanted my faith to be as strong." Sisko goes, "Maybe it is." Kira says, "I heard what you said to Winn. I don't think you're the devil." Sisko's like, "Then maybe we made some progress after all." That's the end of the episode. But this conversation really puts in perspective why Kira, especially towards the beginning, was very much on Winn's side, kind of came a bit orthodox herself in some viewpoints. And it's because she, in a way, felt like a fraud.
Yeah, I mean, I guess back to what we were saying about how a lot of people don't practice, but will still jump on these issues because it's their chance to prove that they are not what they think they are. Is this like, oh no, they know they're not practicing. It's like, I got to prove that my faith is strong through this action.
Yes.
By supporting this, I can at least do something. Both her and Neela were ultimately manipulated by the same thing. As like, Neela, it's a tragedy. She obviously did something extreme, but she was manipulated by someone who she also thought was a believer like herself.
Because Neela came off as a regular person, a competent person. Like, she was really good at engineering. She seemed like a pretty good friendship with Miles. She didn't come off as a religious extremist.
Right.
Like, they could have painted her as that. But she wasn't. She was just your everyday person who probably also felt like a fraud in some way.
And this was her chance to prove herself to the prophets. So
and to her people.
It's it's someone who was in a vulnerable position, and Winn exploited that.
Yep. When the episode first started, it almost feels like, oh, did Kira take a step back from Duet? Like, it felt a little bit like that. And it's like, oh no, because of how much change has happened in these 7 months for her. And she says, like, her whole world changed. And she's like, I never would have thought I would be here on the station working with the Federation, doing the things I'm doing. Sometimes when change that drastic happens, you kind of fall back.
You need some kind of anchor, yeah.
And to her, and probably a lot of Bajorans, it is their religion because of how important it was to them during the occupation. And it is important to her. Like, she is a religious person. But I wonder if all the concessions, kind of all the ways her own personality was pulled back, it was like almost like the last pillar is there.
Yes.
Of who she was
have this.
before everything changed. This is, and sometimes when that happens, you cling a little too hard. And that's what I felt like. It wasn't like she was taking a step back. It's just she was cleaning a bit because to her, Winn was a true believer. So if she's a true believer, then shouldn't I be more like her? Am I not a true believer if I'm working with the Federation?
Yeah, I mean, in early episodes, you have, the Bajoran who tried to like blow up the wormhole, like calling her a traitor.
Exactly.
You have Opaka telling her to embrace her faith. You have all these things that she's trying to balance, and this was it. And I think that's why Sisko's line of like, it's just these 3 words of I wanted my faith to be as strong as hers, and Sisko says maybe it is. I think that says a lot.
Yes.
Like, clearly Winn's a fraud.
Yeah.
So you know what? I think your faith is stronger than hers.
Yes.
You don't have to do what she's saying. Like, realize that you are actually in the spot that you need to be.
So again, it changed. Her spirituality is not what she thought it was, but actually it's something that's meaningful and beautiful. It's something real.
Yeah.
Vedek's, it's not real. It's just manipulation. It's just power. And I think that's a good place for her to start off. Like, yes, it might look different. Yes, she might have to like explore what does that mean. But she's starting with a good foundation of it's real.
Yeah, the episode does not end with her abandoning the religion because, look what it did.
And I wouldn't want that.
Forget the prophets.
Yeah.
She recognized more that she saw how she had been manipulated and rejected that. I reject your attempt to poison my belief.
Yeah, I don't want Kira to give up her faith. That's not what I want. This is what I want, to see what it truly is and how she can actually use her faith to not only better herself, but to help her people.
For good.
Yep.
Not for
whatever Winn was doing.
Political machinations. Yeah.
It's interesting. Duet is definitely the better episode.
But this is a very solid one. Like, especially...
and important. I think this is a very important episode.
And it ties directly back into Emissary. So the season starts and ends with the same kind of focus. We're seeing Sisko come in. Now we're seeing his first like real challenge to that mission.
Yes.
We've seen a lot of other things in this season, but this one directly ties into that mission. Why he is here, why this show has started. This is the first big roadblock.
Yes.
To what they're trying to accomplish. And if this episode had come like before Duet, it would have been like, wow, what an improvement. Because I mean, we have If Wishes Were Horses and and I don't remember some Vortex and all these other things were just like, just from a technical perspective, it's better done. It's a big step up.
Yes.
Duet was just so good. It almost feels like a come down afterwards, but it's like, no. This is a very solid episode for season 1.
Yes, it does. After Duet, it does feel like that a little bit, but it is, it's a solid episode.
Says a lot. Done well.
I mean, we
acted well.
We talked a lot in this episode. I feel like
introduces 2 new characters.
I feel like we only touched the surface on some of the stuff we could have gone in here.
We got sidetracked quite a bit,
which is fine. Religion is still important today, and how it is used as a weapon.
And it's a big part of the show.
And we see that going forward.
All right, so we are still doing our season 1 recap?
Yes.
Okay.
So that'll be the next one. And just kind of go through. I guess we'll figure out how we want to.
We'll figure out what we're going to do. It'll be something about our overall thoughts of season 1. We'll talk about that. We're trying to release every 2 weeks now.
Yeah.
To try and get a little regularity. We've had some challenges in our lives that have been taking up all our time.
Yeah.
Got some bunnies now. They've been taking up our time.
Yep.
Bonding some rabbits.
They're 2 cuties, but oh boy.
Throw a wrench and things. But so we're going to aim for every other week. Hopefully we can keep that consistent.
I think so. It's just every week is hard because if something happens during a weekend, everything's thrown off.
Yes. All right. Well, we will see you in 2 weeks with that, and then we'll start season 2.
Yay!
We've gotten it. We've gotten one season down.
One season. We did it.
We did it. Still here.
All right. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.